We've drawn before the pattern of a simple, collarless, long-sleeved tunic with some embellishments on the tunic and on the sleeves. Now we are going to draw the pattern of a flare pant to go with, a rather straight pant with flare bottom and embellished as well at the bottom in the same way. To draw the pattern of a pants, I first draw again the pants foundation pattern, the one that you have downloaded, printed, built and finally transferred on cardboard while following the introduction to this course. You then carefully note the name of each piece to avoid any mistake afterward. The back of the pants is the widest piece and the front of the pants is narrower. You should also draw on your paper the center line, which will also be used to indicate the grain line, as well as the two horizontal lines that are the full hips and the knee. This line has to be transferred on both pieces of the pattern. Unlike the foundation pattern of the bodice, the foundation pattern of the pants has already been drawn a little wider, so that it can be used without any modification for a simple pants pattern, a slim fit kind of pants. If you want to work with a thin and soft fabric such as a crepe or a microfiber, I advise you to bring a little ease to this pattern to prevent underwear from making ugly marks. The bottom of the pants will also be flared down to keep on with the style of a tunic, whose sleeves are flared at the bottom. There will also be a piece to add to sew the zipper in the middle of the front. I start by altering the bottom of these pants. Studying the design of this tunic plus pants suit, I decide that the bottom flare begins 20 cm above the current hem of the pants. I then make a mark 20 cm above the hem on each side of the pants pattern. That will be the starting point of my alteration. I also figure out that this pants is worn with high heels shoes, so I decided to add 5 cm in length to the pants, front and back, to make sure the pants are longer, but they doesn't drag on the floor. So I draw the new hemline 5 cm below the old one. I also extend on the two pieces my central line that serves as a reference for the grain line. I draw on this line an arrowhead that indicates the line and direction of the grain line. To draw this enlargement of the bottom of this pants, I start by marking on my new hemline the width of the old hemline. You can see my new line after I've added 5 cm in length. On this new line, I mark the same width symmetrically on each side of my center line. To follow the proportions of the drawing, I decide to add 3 cm on each side of both two pieces of this pattern. As the two pieces will be sewn together, I will add in all 6 cm of width on the side and 6 cm along the inner line between the legs. You can choose another value to add, but do not go below 2 cm, which is 4 cm at the side and 4 cm at the inner line, and do not climb above 5 cm, which will be 10 cm in all, because the result would not be elegant. I do the same alteration on the second piece by adding 3 cm on each side. To draw the new lines that must be curves, and to get the best result, I use my French curves between my two marks. When I draw the first curve, I mark my French curves with my pen. Then I can use this mark to draw the same curve on the 4 sides of the pieces of the pens. It is indeed essential to have the same curves so that the seams will fit well once the two pieces are sewn together. If you made your mark on the French curves, the drawing of identical curves is very easy to do for each of the 4 curves, 2 on the sides of the back and 2 on the sides of the front. As for the sleeve, we must now control the length of these curves to keep the same length all around the pants. We check it the same way we did to check the bottom of the sleeve. For the sleeve, it was necessary to remove 8 mm to keep the same length. I start by measuring the length between the beginning of the flare and the new hem on the central line, and I find 25 cm, which corresponds to 20 cm plus the additional 5 cm in length. I measure then on one side of the back the curve because I want to keep its length to 25 cm as well. Actually, for this pants, which has a rather high flare and a rather straight curve, I find 25 cm down to the hem line. I measure a second time to be sure, and I find the same value. I figure out that there is no need to correct the curves on each side of front and back pieces. Of course, I will find the same value on all sides of these pattern pieces. The flare of the bottom of this pants is now drawn up. I remind you that there will also be embellishment to draw at the bottom of this pants. As a safety measure, I strike out the lines that are no longer correct to avoid any mistakes when cutting the fabric. I'm now drawing the fly, which is headed in the middle front for the zipper. In my free sewing course first level, you can see how this zipper is sewn to close the pants at the waist. A pant zipper is usually 15 cm long, so I make a mark at 15 cm below the waist on the front middle line. 15 cm is an average value for classic pens. The fly will start 1.5 cm below my mark and go up to the waist, adding 4 cm of width. This pen has a slightly low waist, which is classic nowadays. I mark dots at 4 cm and I then join my dots with a straight line. Because this part of the front middle is a straight line that allows to fix properly the zipper. The bottom of this fly is then rounded up to join my initial mark. To draw the top line of this fly, I have to draw a similar line to the waist, so that this fly sets well inside the pens. To draw the same curve, I just have to fold my paper along the front middle line carefully, which makes the waistline appear in transparency, and I can draw easily the top line of a fly, then transfer it on the other side of the paper. Now, I draw the pattern of the piece of fabric that will come inside the waist to finish it neatly and also strengthen the top of the pants. I decided that this pants would not have a belt because a belt would bring some thickness under the tunic, which is neither desirable nor aesthetic. But I have to add a piece of fabric inside the pants anyhow. This piece of fabric will be reinforced with an interlining to lose its stretch, which will give a sharper aspect to the waist of this pants. I decided that this piece will be 4 cm high and I marked dots 4 cm below the waist on the back and front piece. You can keep the same value or draw a 5 cm or 6 cm high piece, it's up to you. You can see that I draw a curve parallel to the waist with my French curves on the front and on the back, joining the dots. Now that these two pieces are drawn on the main pattern with the right curves, I will very easily draw them on another paper by transparency. So I take a piece of paper to draw again the shape of this waist piece, starting with the front. I draw all around this piece and I then note the grain line when I cross the center line of the pants. Since I do not want to have a side seam to assemble these two waist pieces, I'm going to move my paper in order to directly draw the back waist piece as an extension of the front waist piece.
Nevertheless, there will be a seam in the middle of the back to avoid too much loss of fabric during the cut and also to have the same grain line on the two front pieces. I move my paper until the side line gets perfectly upon the back side line. This is possible only because the curve at this part of the pattern is almost a straight line. This allows me to avoid a side seam that would add thickness on the side, which would thicken the silhouette. I want to keep the grain line on the front, which gives a better fit with a small flat belly effect. The back will be more in the bias and will follow your movements more easily. These are small but important details that we will study throughout the levels of this pattern making course. I drew again the curves between the dots, making sure to always get nice and harmonious curves, but I realized that I have to slightly correct the waist on the back to keep a beautiful line and avoid any angle. It is common practice to correct the curves of a pattern for aesthetic reasons. Since I had to lower the back waistline of about 2 mm in the center, I drew the same correction at the bottom of the waist piece to keep a height of 4 cm and the same smooth curve. Regarding the waist piece part that goes under the fly of the zip, which I'm drawing now, I prefer to cancel it since there will always be this fly in place. Here is the finished waist piece. Since I have corrected the waistline, I have to make the same correction to the main pants pattern, so all my curves match well and I carefully strike out the wrong line. I do not forget to note the name of the waist piece as well as the indications for middle front and middle back, which will have a seam. I've drawn the embellishments at the bottom of the pants as we did previously for the tunic. These embellishments will come on the side of the legs, so they are placed on each side of the side seam. It would be a mistake to place them differently, that is to say along the inner line of the legs, for example, because they would not be seen and the friction of the legs during the walk would damage them. We must place these embellishments only on half of each pants piece. I drew them using the same colors as for the tunic to symbolize my two cords and my beads. It's important to understand that the beads that I've drawn twice on the side line of the pants are actually the same. Since these two lines will be sewn together, the beads will be sewn along the seam. That's why the beads in this line are drawn twice.
Now we've done with my course of pattern making level 1. We're finished with this tunic and pant. In my next course, it will be sewing level 1. We will use this pattern, the pattern you did. We will cut and sew this wonderful suit made of tunic and pants with embellishments. After that, it will be time for fashion design level 2, and we will study another mood board, another collection guideline, another tiny collection to draw, and in pattern making level 2, we will work on a simple straight dress with dots and see everything about moving dots. If you enjoyed my course, don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, and to follow my website on Ana Camau Academy to have a lot of additional information and documents to download. See you soon!